Currently, it's getting more and more difficult for immigration cases worldwide.
If you're looking for a Tier 2 work permit for nurses, definitely there are vacancies in NHS and private sector. We can help you in getting nurses work permit.
We've also got good options to Denmark under the green card route for occupations on the positive list.
If you are a caregiver, cook, au pair, we can get you study and work permit in Russia.
And under hospitality, we can deploy people to America under the J1 traineeship visa for 6 to 12 months.
For details, please contact us. We have been dealing with immigration for quite long, and since 2009 in United Kingdom, the point-based system was introduced, and there have been issues with Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 4, Tier 5. And today we are going to discuss on United Kingdom's Tier 2 point-based system, especially for nurses. We will also talking about Denmark point system and few work permit and study visa for Russia leading to permanent residency, and of course J1 visa for USA. So to discuss all these issues today, I'm having Mr. Daniel with me. Welcome, Daniel, to our show.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Yes, Daniel, to start with the UK Tier 2 this work permit for nurses. What exactly you think the NHS require, what vacancies they are having, and what's the position for nurses in NHS?
Well, it's not just the NHS, it's also the private sector with regards to the nursing homes, but there's a huge shortage of nurses both in the NHS and the private sector. As long as we can get the nurses that meet the requirements, the new requirements that came in October 2014, then we can sponsor nurses under Tier 2 with the required points and bring them in on a 3-year work visa. The requirements for nurses are, we've got to have IELTS 7, so that's 7 in everything, 7777, 12 months experience as a nurse, and they've got to be a licensed nurse. At that point they can then actually apply to the Nursing and Midwifery Council, who obviously regulate nurses in the UK. And under the new processing, they've got to apply to the NMC. They would get a letter that states they can do Part 1, which is a theoretical exam, which is done at Pearson VUE test centres throughout the world. Once they've passed Part 1, at that point we can then bring them in under sponsorship under Tier 2 on a 3-year work visa with employers. Now, when they've come into the UK, they've got 3 months to actually sit Part 2, which is a practical exam, which is called on the OSCE stations, which are used in the hospitals here. Once they pass Part 1, they'll then get their PIN number, which is different from under the old system, where they'll actually get supervised under mentors for 3 to 6 months or 12 to 6 months. Now, if they pass the practical exam, they actually get their PIN number, which means they can work as a licensed nurse.
Going back to your initial thing, when you said that they have to go for the Part 1. So once they pass their Part 1, are they eligible to get their Tier 2 or straight away?
Yes. So basically, the NMC wants them to do 2. So once you've passed Part 1, you could either come in on a business visitor's visa, which most people don't want to do, it's going to be a waste of money for them, or an employer can then sponsor them at that point where they've passed Part 1, because under the new system they've got to do Part 2, which is the practical, at Northampton University. They've got a monopoly on it, so that they've got it for the next 18 months. After that it might go to other universities, but at the moment it's only Northampton University that's got it. So once they've passed Part 1, they can then get sponsored for 3 years, come in, they would then get paid £8.34 an hour whilst they're actually going to be sitting for Part 1.
Now for nurses, for the preparation of the Part 1, there are universities who are ready to go overseas and prepare the nurses for conduct that exam. So
yes, I mean we've got 3 universities that are prepared to fly out to India or the Philippines or other countries where we can actually bring nurses in from, and they will deliver preparation programs for Part 1 and Part 2. We could even do it where they just do Part 1 in India, let's say, and then when they come to the UK, they've got 3 months to do Part 2, but at that point we can send them to the UK universities to do the preparation, because it's going to be in a hospital environment then if it's at the university. So yes, they're prepared to do that. We can even do preparation programs for IELTS as well through our website, and we've also got other partners that are prepared to obviously fly out and help people with their IELTS, because most nurses think that IELTS is the problem, but if they do our online preparation and we do the classroom-based preparation, then they should be able to attain 7.
So yeah, that's the main thing. Apart from that, as you tell, that 12 months of experience and IELTS. Of course, they have to be licensed within their country, and that's the eligibility criteria. Initial one, and then they go for the initial preparatory, the part 1 of the exam. And universities from UK are ready to move to the country. And if they're having approximately 20 nurses in their college or in that area, then they can go for a batch for 20 nurses.
Yeah, the minimum cohorts that the universities want is to make it worthwhile for them to fly over. It'll be 20 at a time or more.
And what the duration will be for that training?
It's normally 2 or 3 days only, actually. So, I mean, for each part, so for part 1 and part 2, it would be 2 or 3 days maximum. And it would go through the NMC codes practice and what's going to be tested in part 1. And then obviously when they come here they can do the preparation, which is how to use the OSCE stations for part 2.
Absolutely. And what exactly you think these days, so because the nurses who want to fly over to United Kingdom to pursue the careers, what hourly rate is usually for nurses?
When they're actually, before they've got their NMC PIN number, they would get $8.34 an hour. But then once they've passed part 2, the bare minimum to get the tier 2 visas through will be $10.99 an hour. But to be honest, most private employers or the NHS pay more than that. I mean, we've even got employers at the moment that are paying $13.50, $14.50 an hour, because nurses is a big shortage at the moment. So minimum $10.99, but you could expect more.
Okay, the NHS, they are, of course, they got the tier 2 sponsorship. So, but these private employers, again, they should have their own tier 2 license.
Yeah, I mean, on our boards actually over there as well, we've got 106 positions right now where we need tier 2 nurses to come in. They've all got tier 2 licenses. We can get the restricted certificates, because there's 2 types of certificates. If you apply in the UK, then it's an unrestricted certificate. If you apply outside the UK, such as India, then we need to apply for a restricted certificate. But all of our employers have got the restricted certificates. And again, the NHS we can apply for, but what we'd like to do really is bring them under the private nursing homes and care homes, and additionally they're allowed to work for 20 hours a week, so they could work full-time for the private organisations, because they end up getting more wages and a better hourly rate with the private.
So 40 hours they're full-time and 20 hours they can work part-time.
We've got 2 contracts with the NHS here, so we can do an additional 20 hours under our agency, so they could do both.
Now, when you said care homes, do we have work permits for nurses who score less than 7 bands, and they can come as senior care assistants, guys?
No, not anymore. I wish we could. Basically, so in 2008-2009, then there was a shortage of skilled senior care workers. So because it was a shortage occupation, then we could bring them in. It came off the shortage occupation list and it hasn't come back on. To be honest, in the private sector it is a shortage at the moment, but the MAC and the UK Board of Aids or UKVI, they've not put it back on the shortage list. So at the moment we cannot do those.
So as you told, presently we are having shortage of, I mean, you got vacancies for, shortage would be much more, but we got the vacancies for 109 nurses straight away.
Right now, without us doing any extra marketing, because the problem that we've got, if we go out to the employers on our databases, then I'll end up getting positions for 1,000 nurses. The problem is that I haven't got the candidates. So
absolutely,
if we can get the candidates,
then we can get the vacancies. Yeah. So vacancies are there. We're looking for the right candidates with the right attitude, and of course moving further, making career in the United Kingdom. Now, anything else you want to tell about nurses?
Well, with regards to Denmark, I was going to say, so if people don't get the IELTS 7777, there are other options. Or if people don't want to actually even sit for IELTS, there are other options.
Let's move to the another option as we told. So another two options could be, one is Denmark green card, and of course even still your English, you don't qualify for Denmark, then we got Russia. Caregivers.
Yeah.
So now let us switch Denmark green card.
Yeah.
What exactly people had heard about Denmark green card, but what exactly is this Denmark green card?
It's a skilled migration route, so every, let's say, year there'll be a positive list. We would call it in the UK a shortage list. So in May this year, and it's just been updated on the 1st of July, there's a shortage list, which means there's a shortage of a particular occupation in Denmark, and it's a points-based system very similar to the UK. So you need to get a minimum of 100 points. If you get 100 points, you will get at least 2 to 3 years to go and actually try and find work in Denmark. Now, the ones that we would really look to do is, we don't want to go outside of those that are on the positive list. So I would stick to nurses, doctors, IT professionals, engineers,
Absolutely.
vets, those that are a skilled profession.
Yeah, mechanical engineering, production engineering, building engineers, environmental engineers, nurses, doctors, health visitors, as you told.
Anything on the large list would be fine.
Of course, medical laboratory technicians also, we have a lot of them, and IT consultants, as you told, and teachers also are there, upper secondary school teachers, natural science and physical education teachers are also there.
Yes, but the thing is with the teachers, don't forget, it would then come into, they need to speak Danish.
Okay. So
They could still get the visa without the Danish, but think of it, when you're actually applying for a job for teaching, it will become more difficult because they're going to be teaching Danish kids.
Okay, without a Danish, rest of the requirements, they required IELTS, English 5.5.
Well, you can either go for, it's like French, Danish, German or English. Now, if they actually get, now that it's not like IELTS in the UK where it's academic IELTS 7777. If it's on the general, if they want to get 40 points, then they need to get 6.5. Okay, and obviously the general test is not as hard as the academic test. So if somebody's got 6.5 on the general test, then they would, as a rule of thumb, get 40. If you want to do a breakdown on the points, it does get complicated. But for people that are on the positive list, they automatically get 30 points. Okay, they would also get 30 points for their education if it was a degree, get 50 points if it's a master's, 60 points if it's a PhD. If it's then related, so let's say you've got a degree in nursing, and because you've got a degree in nursing, it's related to the positive list, they can then claim an additional 10 points. So they could actually get 40 points for having a degree in nursing. Yeah. They could also get things which is adaptability, which I'm not going to go into.
Yeah, that there could be additional points for degree if that it has been done within a UK or Europe work experience kind of stuff.
So if anybody's done a degree or their education or experience within Europe, they can get additional 5 or 10 points as well. They can also get points for their age, so under 35, so under 34, and 34 to, and then 0 for others. So again, the thing is, what we'd have to do is we'd do it on a case-by-case basis, and we need to assess all of their experience and qualifications, English, age, adaptability, and if we're happy with the required points, then we can proceed with the Danish authorisation, which is a bit of a lengthy process. So it would take normally 2 to 3 months to get the Danish authorisation if it's needed. Now, with regards to most medical occupations, it is needed, but things like business or IT, it's not needed. So once we've actually got that done, which takes 2 to 3 months, then we can actually apply for the actual visa, which can take up to 6 months. But you're talking from start to finish 9 to 12 months, but it's a very good option. Allow someone to go and work there full time. You can take family members with you, you can take children with you, and yeah, it's another option that we found.
Now, most people ask for the next step as well. Now, before I go to the next step, the first step, most of the companies, they help you with immigration. But we are also helping them in finding their jobs as well.
Yes. So basically we would help with the immigration. We have a team of Danish lawyers that help us with the immigration. There are other companies out in India that do it, but obviously they're not regulated by the Danish Immigration Council, whereas we always use people that are regulated. And then once the visa's actually been approved, we will help them find a job as well. Yeah, we have a team over there who will find them a job. So we do both.
And this Danish green card leads to the permanent residence?
It does, yeah. So after 6-7 years, they can then apply for PR.
And on the initial, there is some sort of annual wages for individual to bring their family in.
Yes, it's changing all the time, but it works out at around, well,
I think 15 to 1600 US dollars per month. That's approximate.
yeah, we say an average of about 2,000 is normally okay, if it's going to be more, but that's fine, yeah.
Again, for nurses, I think it is something around 20 US dollars.
It can range on by state in Denmark, but anywhere between 15 to 25, but on an average 20, yes.
Yeah, on an average
like
of for any sort of job.
Yeah, the average salaries in Denmark is about $20 per hour, actually, which is pretty good. And the average working hours are 40 hours a week.
And living conditions?
Very good in Denmark, very clean, no pollution. The expenses, obviously, it's all relational to any country that you go to, but obviously accommodation and costs are all relational to.
Next time I'll come with you to Denmark.
Yeah, there's no problem at all. It's nice.
Okay, so moving further towards Moscow.
We've got Moscow and St. Petersburg. So for those that don't qualify for the UK, we've got Denmark as a second option for the nurses or medical staff. And for those that obviously don't meet the Denmark requirements, then we do have a really good option for Moscow and St. Petersburg. So we're looking for, it's a study and work programme which is relatively cheap. They can go and learn the Russian language on a vocational course, and they're allowed to work full-time hours. And at the same time, we find them a job. So we need cooks, F&B, caregivers, as well as au pairs. And we're capped to about 25 a month for each occupation. So you're looking at 25 for each, times 4, that's 100 a month, every month we can do.
I mean, that's absolutely a very good option, as Daniel told, that we require at least 25, minimum 25 in each of these nurses, cook chefs.
Well, it's caregivers, but those that are nurses or even nursing aides are okay. So nursing stroke care assistants, au pairs could be teachers because they're looking after children. We then got cooks, which are going to be working in 3 to 5 star hotels, as well as F&B, which is food and beverage.
Absolutely. So 25 each, 100 vacancies per month for Russia are also available. So
and the process is very quick. You're talking 4 to 6 weeks from start to finish. The Russian immigration system is different to what you know most immigration systems too. So getting the visa is very, very straightforward. It only takes 1 day. It's the back end of that, the work permit or the work authorisations or the invitation letters from the Russian government is what's the most important thing to get, which again the Russian lawyers will actually do that for us. Once they've actually got that, they can then apply for their Russian visa, and the visas are normally issued in 1 day. So the process is very, very quick. The wages are pretty good as well. You're talking anywhere, it depends on the amount of hours that they do. On average, anywhere between 600 to 1,200 US dollars a month. The accommodation is very, very cheap. It's probably $50 to $100 a month, and they get food whilst they're working anyway.
You get the food
whilst they're working, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, with the caregivers, for example, or the au pairs, they would get free accommodation as well, because they're going to be looking after family.
So that should be a added advantage to saving money on.
Yeah, but even if you, let's say they got on average, let's say if they're doing maybe 40, 50 hours a week, they'll end up with $1,000 US dollars a month. But we get discounted accommodation anyway. It's normally £100 a month, but we get it for $50 a month anyway. So it makes no difference really. It's only $50.
Yes, you have been talking too much about dollars, so why not we shall move towards the US?
Yes.
So we got some options for United States as well, the J1. What exactly is this J1?
The J1 is very similar to the UK Tier 5, so it's an internship or a traineeship visa. It's been going for over 10 years in America now, and it is, the good thing about the J1 is it's very, very stable. I don't think it's going to change within the next 5 or 10 years. It's been going for more than 10 years. It's very stable. All the employers are already aware about it. It's just whether people meet the criteria. So we're partnered with a few J1 sponsors. They can do the traineeships or the internships. But predominantly right now we're looking for 100 people for culinary traineeships and about 50 people for food and beverages traineeships. Now, the traineeships is they've got to have graduated within the last 5 years and have a minimum of 12 months experience. If they meet that criteria, and this can be a diploma or degree, it doesn't need to be a degree, as long as they meet that criteria and the employers accept them at interview stage, then we can send them for between 6 to 18 months on a traineeship in America. Wages are anywhere between $8 to $15 an hour, and they also get tips, which is a big thing in America.
Absolutely. So yes, for culinary and food and beverage, you said.
It's culinary and food and beverages at the moment, yeah, but we're getting more vacancies on day by day. So we're doing state by state at the moment because America's such a big market. We're doing state by state for all the hotel chains.
So yes, so basically people who are from hotel industry, they might have done degree or diploma.
Yeah.
So they are absolutely good for this J program.
Yeah, but they've got to have, as long as they've completed their diploma or their degree, and they've got 12 months experience, they're the people that we're looking for. Now the thing is with the J1 as well is you don't need IELTS, but they do need to obviously prove their English ability to the J1 sponsor, the employer. They might even have to sit a test which is officially as well, which we can send people the link on, and as long as they meet the minimum requirements, that should be fine. But there's no IELTS requirement specific for the visa. So it's very similar. They would be issued like a sponsorship certificate, and once the sponsorship certificate, we can then apply for the visa.
Well, that sounds to be interesting. So yes, Tier 2 for nurses in the UK.
Yeah.
Green card with
Denmark.
job for Denmark.
Yeah.
Study and work for Russia, and of course this internship program for USA. Anything else you want to tell Danny apart from this?
No, that's all for now. They're all the hot programs right now that we need to be working on, and we're looking for good numbers and good candidates.
This is the right time for you to put your applications in all these areas. Anyway, thank you very much, Danny, for being with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming to see us.
Currently, it's getting more and more difficult for immigration cases worldwide.
If you're looking for a Tier 2 work permit for nurses, definitely there are vacancies in NHS and private sector. We can help you in getting nurses work permit.
We've also got good options to Denmark under the green card route for occupations on the positive list.
If you are a caregiver, cook, au pair, we can get you study and work permit in Russia.
And under hospitality, we can deploy people to America under the J1 traineeship visa for 6 to 12 months.
For details, please contact us.